I'm continuing from where I stopped about women, people in abuse, why they stay there, and the lies that bind. And so I talked about fear being part of it. I talked about guilt being part of the reason. I talk about, fear of change, right? Being afraid, of change, being afraid of doing things differently, right? Just being afraid, generally. Allowing guilt to consume a person, allowing guilt, fear, and fear to swallow the will to live and to live more abundantly, right? I'd just like to pray. Father, I thank you for this life. Please speak through me. Let me speak words that please you, and let those who hear it let it have an assurance of peace. Let them be led to the truth. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. So I want to move to something else that I'd like to talk about. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to do something here, but let me just leave it like this. So, okay. Oh, hi. Nor. Hi. So I was talking about how, well, so what should we do? Well, listening. If you have any questions that you want to ask concerning relationships, a life in general, you can just ask and we can talk about that. I do have a topic, but you can always ask your questions if you want. Thank you. So with the recent happenings in the US, I don't live there, all right. But because I'm a melanated person and I'm interested in melanated people all over the world, I admire a picture of myself wherever I see it. So, Black women generally in the US have said that they're not, fighting anymore. They just want to rest. They want to just rest for the next 4 years. And I want to talk about, for some people who may not understand what that is, although I find that hard to believe, it's interesting to note that some of the things that some people are, some people are concerned about or they are facing right now is what Black people have been experiencing. Like when they are complaining about what they are going through now, like, oh, this is not what they voted for or something, it becomes like Black people are like, this is a norm for them personally, but okay, whatever, Okay, Nora is saying, I think I want to learn more about Palestine because the war is over and yeah, well, that's the issue. That's part of what I'm trying to say here, in essence. unfortunately, uh, there is war in different parts of Africa too. And that's where I live. I live in a continent where they are different and it's not reported to the point where even Africans sometimes don't even know what is going on. But because Palestine, what is happening in Gaza is being, it's is amplified. And I think that's a good thing where, people are aware of what is going on. Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, like if you just check it, there's Congo, um, Sudan, things are going on there, but it's underreported. So you see that, um, everybody has to, all hands have to be on deck. Truth is, only the people that are directly concerned about a place have the have the authority, shall we say, and the strength, if you may, to actually go for what they need to happen in their area. I mean, charity begins at home at the end of the day. And it would be a bit odd if, something is happening in your house and you have issues to deal with in your own house, and then you leave yours to go and attend to that of someone else. Like, it would just leave the whole thing escalated. So I haven't really spoken much about this whole issue before, but you know, when you talk about Black women in America saying that they are tired, they just want to sit, they just want to rest for the next 4 years, and people are like, no, we need to get together and all of that. You got to understand that, um, and some of us do, we just act like we don't. Um, Nobody has asked the Black woman what her problems are or if she has any. But every time she comes out, she protests for everybody, and yet she still faces hate. It gets exhausting at some point. What happens when you open a tap and the water is just running and you're just fetching water, but you're not replenishing it? You are receiving, a person is just giving but not receiving. They will get exhausted after some time. And that's where Black people in the US are right now. Black women are in the US right now. Now, this is not about, this candidate versus that candidate or the other. Sometimes when it comes to who wins elections, it's not necessarily about who you completely agree with, you know, which, for once, if anything, I'm just glad in a way that I'm not American. So I didn't have to worry about who to vote for because I just didn't have to worry. But I was just like, wow. Never did I think I would see a day where this is happening, where, these are the candidates. Like, okay, the choices were just based on their policies, and you're like, what are you going to do? So there were hard choices to be made. The reason why people made those choices, though, is what is causing the issue. Some people, yeah, well, I don't think any normal human being likes wars and violence at all. No one does, but you see, here is the thing. How do we stop it is the issue. What are we going to do, You have to find the source of these things. And many of us, we don't want to go that route. There's an issue of fear. Not many people want to confront those who are responsible for these things, those who like these things, who profit from these things. Not many of us want to confront that. And the thing is, you can't even confront them directly like that. It's just not, it's going to be counterproductive, So, in essence, I don't see any other way to stop wars than prayers, prayers, prayers. And not prayers of I'm trying to hide myself, I don't want to be seen kind of prayers, but prayers as in, God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You understand? But if you have any other way to stop it without putting yourself in danger, because the thing is, if you put yourself in danger, what is the guarantee you have that your putting yourself in the danger will stop what you wanted to stop? There's also that issue. So you want to make sure that you are very, very strategic about what you are doing. You plan, you think, you know, it's a lot. There's a lot to that. But, it's why people voted in the US that is creating a lot of animosity. The reason why people voted for who they voted for, like their reasons. For a lot of people, neither of the leading candidates were options. But when the options are the only options, it was either don't vote or just pick the one that, serves something that you believe in. And that is where the issue is. Because when people are now complaining that, that we're in favor of the person who came in now, understand there is good and bad concerning this, depending on how you look at things. But if you voted for who you voted for from the place of hatred, if you voted for who you voted for from the place of, I want to take care of myself first, I don't care about any other person, then it might have a boomerang effect. You understand? And when it comes to the issue of Black women, I don't like to dwell on politics a lot because it's a little too deep. It's deep. It's not a depth I feel I'm ready to delve into right now. So I'm focusing on the Black American woman. Now, to understand the Black American woman, it goes way back. It goes way back. For those who are like, why are they saying they're going to sit this out? They're not going to join, they're not going to protest or anything like that. For one, they don't know if there will be any policy in the near future that might negatively affect them. So, for once, they are looking out for themselves. And another thing, okay. So, um, I want to talk about this based on the fact that it's more of a social issue than it is now that I'm really going into the topic I want to go into right now. Thank you for everyone who has joined in and who has commented. Whatever it is you know how to do for good, keep doing it, but be careful. Be careful. Choose life. Okay, choose life, but not out of fear, but because you want to stay alive long enough to finish the good work that you have started, right? So, I will try and see if I can continue with this. So, there is this issue of people, trying to pressurize Black women to be more proactive and all. And it's as if people have pegged Black women as their labor force for any time they need people to fight for their rights. Now, the funny thing is, or the irony, more like it, is that Black women don't really mind. But when Black women have always been the butt of people's jokes, Black women are the ones who are insulted. There are so many things that people have said and keyed about Black women, bad jokes that Nobody dare say about a non-black woman. No one says that, but they say it about black women. And these are the women that are very active when it comes to fighting for rights, fighting for the rights of minorities and all of that. They are there. But now they say, you know what? They're tired. They're tired. They don't want to do this anymore. And you can't blame them. You can't blame them, you know? And then you have a situation where people are trying to gaslight them. There's some people, women especially, I think maybe some men might be in the mix of that, trying to tell them, oh, you know, you're being arrogant, you're being, I'm seeing some of those videos and I'm thinking, instead of coming for black women, what is the issue? Why is it that you cannot speak for yourself? Like, why is it that you need black women to speak for you? It's why is it necessary to go at black women like that? Like, they don't have to speak for you. Why can't you speak for yourself? You understand? Why can't you say what you want to say instead of saying, why aren't you pointing fingers at someone else? Like, oh, so you want someone else to be the martyr for your own cause. Like I said, the black woman has her own personal concerns. And charity, maybe black women are now learning to love themselves more, which is a good thing, which means that what concerns them directly, the things that they have ignored about their own lives, because they feel like, oh, what is happening over there is much more urgent than what is happening over here. So let me handle that one first. And then the same people are being obnoxious, being rude, if they're making black women the butt of their jokes. Like, how long do people actually think black women can stand that? Because some people somewhere said that black women have a threshold for pain, or they endure pain more. Like, people should just go and look at themselves in the mirror, or better still, solve the problem. And I want to even talk to women that are non-black women, especially some of them. Okay, Nora is saying, but this great man who was a civil rights leader, Martin Luther King, he was an amazing man. I loved him so much. He was a great civil rights leader. Yes, he was, but I think you should read about what happened to him too, as well. That's why I was saying that whatever good you want to do, factor in safety as well. Personal safety is also important, not because it's good to not be afraid or to not fear for your life, but it's also important to prioritize finishing what you started. And so if you place focus on doing what you need to do and also protecting yourself, it goes a long way. So you might have to read about that. And there are so many nuances to that. Read about that, everything you can read about, and understand why people don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, he was very young. He was very young. Yeah, I'm not, I think it's because of how the whole thing ended. When something ends when it feels tragic, I don't really like to look into that too much, because what is done, right? It's the lessons there that we can learn, that what can we do differently. I mean, how long are people going to be made martyrs? Like, I think the point, I don't agree with people putting themselves up as martyrs, or people wanting other people to be martyrs, whether you yourself or wanting somebody else to do so for whatever reason. I think it's more important that you plan properly and be like, okay, what am I fighting for? Why am I fighting for it? What is the result I want to get? And be determined, have a determination to live as well. You understand? It's about fighting for your life as well, but you are doing it in a way that is noble. Because some people are fighting for their lives, but they are sabotaging other people's own. So it goes both ways. And when it comes to this issue, it's also important that it's best you move alone. And I'm not sure how advisable that is. That is why I'm saying it depends on you, why you are fighting, what you want to fight for, the result you want to get, and so on and so forth. But I think this is a time where people can learn to not depend on other people, but just do what they need to do. Because at the end of the day, why would you expect other people to stand up for you when you are not standing up for yourself? And you can't demand that of other people, especially when it's not as if they're having a grand time where they're at too. Like they have their own issues, you know. Sometimes you see how people are when it comes to the way they respond to other people's pain. Sometimes when people are in pain, they feel like, oh, you don't understand. This is what I'm going through. But try and also have a eagle eye view of what other people are going through as well. Sometimes when you have an idea what other people are going through, it helps you to be more empathic, and it doesn't feel as if you are selfish in your own pain and you feel like, just solve my own. Don't start telling me stories. Just do, you know, what I want and all of that. Um, you're asking me about you're asking me about a lot of people. Nor, I don't know whether pronounced that name properly. Forgive me if I didn't. I can't remember. About the exits, as it were, of Michael Jackson. Um, yeah, but it was also pretty young, and there are a lot of stories. Like you have to, it's rather than me telling you or you asking somebody. There is something very powerful about just finding things out on your own. And the phone is there. You can just search these things. Like when someone else tells you, sometimes it might feel as if maybe the person is being biased and all. So to avoid that, just look at the events that lead up to these things and just look at them, check them out, and then sit down and do your own thinking. Like, what really happened here? Why did it happen? Is there a reason, or is just a natural thing? So there's a lot to that, but all I can just say now is that um I would just say well done. Black women have been fighting for so long on different issues. I thought I could even go in depth into this, but I just find that I can't. Maybe because you know my enemies are exhausted. But I just feel like I want to do this live today. I want to go live today, and these are issues that I want to talk about. But I just want to, whoever you are, don't feel pressured to take up a fight, one that you are not even prepared for, or one that you have ex- advised people over. Like, okay, let's try this way, and you know, told you to, they've sent you to God knows where. And now that they feel like, oh my God, they feel overwhelmed, they now want you to take up their fight for them. Now, I'm not speaking of all of them. There are people from non-Black communities who are immigrants or whose parents or grandparents were immigrants who are, doing things on their own. But you always find those few people who, come up and make a scene. And sometimes you wonder, are you really bothered about what is going on, or you just want to speak against this group of people, you know? So, for now, that's just what I'm just going to put a pause on that. Thank you everyone for joining in. Um, I hope that if you don't even take anything away from this life, or you don't, just a quick recap, in your own distress, recognize that other people are going through things too. Don't just assume. It's easy to assume that you are the only one. but you're not. Things are happening to people, and sometimes it's because they feel like, I don't want to burden other people. They try to sort things out on their own. And sometimes joining fight, or rather supporting other people in their own, to relieve their own pain, might also be a relief to yours. Or maybe you guys can just find a common way to exchange ideas on what to do to relieve the distress that you're in. Whether it is personal, whether it is communal, whether it's familial, whatever it is, you know, I think I may have delved into some, may God have mercy. So I just hope that, for everyone who watches this and who has been part of this life, part of this video, that you know, I'll just take this opportunity to tell you to get close to God. That's just it. It feels like, oh, a cop out, but really, is it? Because a lot of people, like I said, things are going on and people are not, they don't know what to do. So are you just going to sit there saying you don't know what to do? You understand? You got to do something. You just have to do something. Pray for clarity, for one. Pray for wisdom. Pray for understanding. Pray for courage. That is also important, because just pray for courage. Courage to do what you need to do. Courage to live life in a way that is fulfilling. Courage to make impacts in your generation at your own time. So I would just say, guard your hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Let all of us follow our conscience, because it leads us to the truth. If we keep following it, it leads us to the truth. That's just it. You keep following it, you keep following it. Eventually, you will know the truth for yourself. And Jesus said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So we just have to keep seeking the truth, and it starts from within us. Following your conscience, The Chinese, when somebody does something very terrible, the Chinese will say the dogs have eaten their conscience. That's what they say. And you can't blame them for saying that, because you hear the things some people say, be like, does nothing stop this person's soul from doing what they did and all of that? But we have to understand that in the world we live in, not everybody is humane, not everybody is empathic, not everybody cares what harm befalls anybody. So you got to be cautious. You have to be prayerful. You have to learn to have a close relationship with God. It's very key. And I would advise that you read the Bible with new eyes. There are a lot of treasures in terms of wisdom and understanding that is hidden in there, with an open mind. It's an open book. It's even free. Like, you can download it for free, right? You can have it read to you. You can read it yourself, just to gain knowledge, just to gain understanding about things. I highly recommend it. I'm still reading it. I'm not done reading it. The thing about the Bible is that it's the gifts that keeps giving. All right then. Remember that Jesus loves you. Remember that. Shalom. Peace.